There are dozens of AI tools that claim to be the best at graphic design, but which one is actually telling the truth? I tested all of them and found out there are only 3 AI tools that are actually worth your time. But today, I'm going even further, and I'll compare them side by side across 4 generations to see which one is actually the best. So by the end of this, you'll know exactly which one to use to get your work done as fast as possible. The 3 AI models are the new GPT Image 2 from OpenAI, NanoBanana 2, which was developed by Google, and Grok Imagine, the flagship model of Twitter. So to test them all, I'm going to be using OpenArt, which gives me full access to them inside one single platform. If you want to check it out, I'll leave a link in the description down below. Once you're inside, this is the homepage you'll see. In order to test all of these AI models as best as we can, we need to give them the same exact input. So we are going to use one universal prompt and one reference image with our product across all of them. Now, our product is going to be a coffee brew bottle because I want to generate a 4-slide Instagram carousel. And the reason for that is that no matter if you are a business owner, a designer, or just a creator, a carousel is something you'll probably need multiple times in a month. So that's why I'm going to show you the step-by-step process on how to do that using a professional framework. But more on that a little bit later. Now, we actually need to create the coffee brew bottle. So in order to create it, I'm going in the image section and pressing on Create Image. Here on the left, I'll choose NanoBanana 2 as the image model, and I'll paste this prompt right here to create my product. Then I'll set the other settings, like the aspect ratio and the resolution, to 2K, and I'll make sure the number of generations is set to 1, even though you can go up to 4. Now let's press generate and take a look at the result. It came out looking really good, so we can save it and use it as the main reference for all the future generations. So let's actually go ahead and create the first slide of the carousel using GPT Image 2. So I'll switch the image model from NanoBanana 2 to GPT Image 2 and adjust all its settings. First, I'll put the resolution to 2K and the aspect ratio at 1:1. Now, even though this model can go to 4K resolution, I'll keep it like that because I want to use the same settings across all the image models to keep it a fair battle between them. However, one setting I must set is the quality option, for which I'll go with high. Now for the reference, I'll upload the coffee brew bottle we just created by pressing on Add Visual References, then on Images, and selecting it from our gallery. Then I'll paste in the prompt for our first carousel slide right here and hit generate. Here's the result that GPT Image 2 created for us. In my opinion, this feels extremely premium. I really like how it added those leaves in the corners because they match the same style from the coffee bottle. The whole design feels very complete and intentional, and also the text is on point. Even the smaller words like keep refrigerated and 16 fluid ounces at the bottom of the bottle are rendered perfectly, which was almost impossible for any AI image generator just a few months ago. Now let's see what NanoBanana 2 can do with the same exact prompt. So I'll switch the model in the dropdown and hit generate one more time. This one is definitely cleaner, but it also feels a lot more boring compared to the first image. The bottle itself still looks good and the text is written correctly, but the overall layout feels lower effort. The cold brew text at the top doesn't have any texture, so it almost looks like something you'd quickly add in Canva and place above the bottle. And for the third model, I'll swap in Grok Imagine and run it. And here's what it gives us back. I really like this one better than the second image. It put the bottle on the right and the text on the left, which makes the whole ad feel more balanced and nicer to look at. It also nailed down all the text again, which is impressive. However, it still doesn't add that extra visual detail that would make it feel more premium, like we saw with the first image. But I'm not going to call the winner just after one slide. There are 3 more to go, and even after those, there's one more important aspect to consider before calling one model the best. And I'll go way deeper into what it is and how to avoid it at the end after we finish the carousel. So for now, let's go to the second slide and generate it. But before actually generating, I want to show you the prompt structure I've been using. Because just like I mentioned earlier, I'm actually using a proven framework to create this carousel's slides. So it's going to be really handy for you if you ever want to create one. And it's quite simple. Every prompt starts by saying what kind of slide you're making and the brand or context it's for. So for our example, that's an Instagram carousel slide about coffee bean origin. This single line tells the model what kind of design it's making and who it's for. Then you list the words and elements. Here is the part where you can add all the text, the visual components, and the copy you want inside the slide. Next is the mood, where you can tell the AI how you want the slide to feel. For my example, it's editorial and minimal cartography. And then is the palette, where you tell it the exact colors you want to include. So in our case, it will be a cream off-white background with a coffee brown. It is a color that fits perfectly with our product. And when you use all of these details inside the framework, the AI will have all the information it needs to create a carousel slide just the way you want it. So let's go ahead and use it for our second slide. But first, I will switch the model back to GPT Image 2, while also leaving the settings the same as before. The only thing I will change is the prompt itself. And I will change it with this one, which is going to be the origin slide that shows where the coffee beans come from. So as you can see, I just filled in the same 4 parts I just showed you, and I just generated it. The result looks really strong, and it keeps the same premium vintage direction from the first slide. I like how it doesn't just show the bottle, but actually explains where the beans come from in a way that still feels branded. The map, the numbered origins, and the small flower details all match the coffee label pretty well. So the whole thing feels like a complete campaign. Now, let's put Nano Banana 2 to the test using the same prompt. So I will switch the model in the dropdown and hit generate again. This one has the same idea, but it feels much more plain compared to the previous one. The map is clear, and I like that it shows the origins directly on it. But the overall design looks more like a simple presentation slide than a finished carousel slide. Even the bottle feels kind of dropped in at the bottom instead of being naturally part of the design. However, let's see how Grok Imagine will do on this one. So here's what it gives us back. Well, I really like this one a bit more than the second one because the layout feels cleaner and the lines from the map to the coffee origins make it easier to follow. But at the same time, it still feels pretty empty. The bottle is too small and there isn't much extra decoration or texture to make it feel premium. So it works visually, but it doesn't have the same branded feeling as the first one. So let's go ahead to the third slide, which is the brewing process of the coffee. Let's see if there are going to be any major changes. So I'll put back GPT Image 2 as the main image model and paste in this prompt. And here, look at the result it gives us. It looks really polished, and I like how it turns the brewing process into something that feels like a part of the brand. The illustrations are detailed, the sections are easy to follow, and the bottle on the right feels naturally included instead of just pasted there. The whole thing has the same old school coffee poster style, but it also works as a clean explanation of the product. But here's what Nano Banana 2 generated using the same inputs. With this one, you can understand the idea instantly, but it doesn't have the same finished ad feeling. It's more like a clean process diagram you'd see on a menu or a basic brand page. The arrows help the flow and the icons are still decent, but the design feels flatter overall. It explains the cold brew process, but it doesn't really sell the product visually. Now look at what Grok created for the same slide. This version goes for a much simpler layout, and I think it makes it easier to follow, but also less exciting. The row of steps is clear, and the leaves at the bottom corners are a nice touch. Still, the bottle feels too small for something that should be the final product. It's readable and clean, but it doesn't have much of that premium coffee company energy. So now let's move on to the fourth slide of the carousel, which is going to be the main CTA. Starting again with GPT Image 2, we get a result that looks like this. Honestly, it feels super close to a finished ad. The bottle has a lot of presence, and the warm cafe-style background makes it feel more real than just a flat product graphic. I also like how the button at the bottom is designed in the same vintage style, so even the call to action doesn't feel out of place. It feels polished and usable. Now for Nano Banana 2 with the same prompt, I got this. Here, the lifestyle photo in the middle is actually nice, especially with the mug, the blanket, and the warm lighting. But the design around it feels much more basic. The top text is large and clear, but it doesn't have much personality, and the whole layout feels like a simple Instagram post template. So let's check out what Grok did with this one. It's probably one of the nicest lifestyle setups from these three. The bottle, the coffee beans, and the soft background all work together and make the product feel natural in the scene. The issue is that the design is almost too simple. It looks pleasant and realistic, but it doesn't have many branded details around it, so it feels more like a nice product photo rather than a CTA slide. So you might now think the clear winner is GPT Image 2, but you would be wrong. You see, GPT Image 2 costs 136 credits, while Grok Imagine costs only 10. So that's 13 times more expensive for every single generation, which means that you need to choose the image model based on your current project. If you want to test multiple ideas without spending too many credits, go with Grok Imagine. But when you know exactly what you want, go with GPT Image 2 for the best results. However, this is quite impossible to do using the traditional way of accessing AI models, which is buying subscriptions from all of these companies. So instead of having 3 different ones, one from OpenAI, one from Google, and another one from Twitter, you can simply get full access to all of them inside one single subscription using OpenArt. So go ahead and sign up to it using the link in the description, because right now it's actually cheaper than a meal out. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.